gentlemen, it's been 2 weeks, but we're back. It's the Press Row Show, the #1 rated pregame, intermission, and postgame show this side of the Mississippi. I'm Russ Joy. That's Anthony SanFilippo. And we brought an even better Anthony on for pregame, Anthony Mingione. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the Press Row Show, and welcome back to the Wells Fargo Center.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for having me on today. It was a pleasant surprise when Ant came over and said, "Hey, would you like to come on?" Sure.
Absolutely. Well, we don't get to see you that often, right? So it's good to get you down here. You know, read your stuff in Center Ice, and following you on Twitter and all that good stuff. So, Ant, this is are you kind of surprised where the Flyers are right now and the way that they're playing right now? Is anything about this surprising you?
A little bit, I would say. Certainly the element of the fact that they've been playing up to their competition. Certainly the last few games, obviously on the road trip, were impressive in many ways. But I think there's you can look at the standings and say, hey, they were in the same spot last year. They had the similar number of points they had last year. But it's the way they're playing, their process, I've been pretty impressed with so far this season.
It's a heck of a thing when you see a team that is supposed to be in a rebuild. And let's have a moment here. The fans were gaslit last year, told that, hey, this is actually just an aggressive retool. We think that we're going to have a bunch of our injured players back, and we're going to make a push for the playoffs. And that obviously didn't pan out. And then this year, the fans are told, hey, this is a rebuild. It's going to hurt. It's going to take time. And they go out and they win 3 games on a road trip in honestly somewhat remarkable fashion, including, to some extent, a demolition, some might say, of Carolina. How do you approach covering this
Russ
team?
Joy is the sum on that.
No. Many people say. How do you go about, as you're analyzing this team now, like have you kind of moved the goalposts a little bit on this? Are we on a sliding scale, or do you ultimately go, hey, good wins, however, we know what's about to happen?
I may be somewhere in between on that. I think
no fence riding. You have to pick a side.
I know, but if the post is being moved, it's being moved a little bit. But I also have to keep in mind the fact that most people, when we talk about in the NHL, we think about American Thanksgiving being kind of a mark of where you think a team is going to potentially be. Do I think this team is for the most part going to be competitive for most of this year? I do. Barring injuries and everything else, that's something that is obviously something they have to look at throughout the season. I don't know about playoffs, obviously, just yet for this team, but I do think they can certainly stay in the mix, and with some luck, and with health, they might surprise.
So here's the thing that we've been saying. Bundy and I have kind of been on this a little bit. The Flyers are playing a certain style that's winning right now, and it's playing at the style of play that you normally see in the postseason, where it's very reliant on a forecheck that is relentless. It's reliant on blocking a ton of shots, throwing your body in the way of all those pucks, and it's not a style that teams usually employ in November. And so the reason that they have to do that is because the power play is so god-awful.
Yes.
And so if the power play doesn't ever really find its footing, and I don't see any reason to think that it will with this collection of talent that they have here, or lack thereof of high-end talent, I don't think that this kind of style is sustainable over an 82-game season. Now, Carter Hart playing the way he is could extend that a little further maybe than normal, but at the same time, that's why I'm not ready to go and move the goalposts just yet with this team. I think they're fun to watch. I think they're enjoyable, but I also don't see it being something that they can do into March and April like they are right now in November.
And I think there's also something to be said for you maybe also catching some of these contending teams early in the season where they're kind of pacing themselves, and they look at the Flyers and they think, oh, they don't have a lot of high-end talent. We can coast on our talent and win the game. And the Flyers have basically said notice to those teams that no, those games you're going to be in for a fight. But as you just stated, it is a grinding style that they're playing right now, and if you cannot deliver on the power play, on special teams in that circumstance, it's going to be tough to sustain over the season, which is why when I say about moving the goalpost, I'm like, you can inch the post maybe in this case, but not move it to the point where you're thinking, oh, this team's going to definitely be in the wild card.
I want to go to a super chat here, which people are not required to do, but they're always greatly appreciated and
Yes, thank
received
you very much.
by Rory. If you want your question answered on the show, we obviously get a lot of comments on YouTube and on Facebook. If you want yours to jump the line, you can leave a super chat. We'll stop what we're doing. We'll answer it. Rory asks, when the trade deadline comes, will Danny be able to make trades on his own, or will they be made on behalf of Torts and who he doesn't like? Now, am I to interpret that as this person thinks that Briere doesn't like Torts?
No, I think you should interpret it as this. Rory believes that John Tortorella is running this team and not Danny Briere.
Okay, so let's go there. Who has the ultimate say?
Briere has the ultimate say. Do I think Torts is a little bit more influential than most coaches? Yes, I do think that he has, a little bit bigger seat at the table than most coaches do. But I do not, under any circumstances, believe that John Tortorella is making those roster decisions. Lineup decisions, yes. Roster decisions, no. I think that the reason that a lot of people think that is there was that trade possibility of Scott Lawton in the summer, and Torts went to the wall for him and told them, I really want to keep this guy. I think he's important for the rebuild. And the Flyers ultimately did not trade Scott Lawton and held on to him. Maybe if the reports that we're hearing are true, that they could have gotten a first-round pick, maybe even a little bit more than that, are accurate. Maybe you sit back, with 2020 hindsight being 2020 and saying, yeah, they probably should have made the move.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't think that that's a decision that was Torts telling them no, and then they couldn't do it. It was a situation where they took his input and decided not to do it. And that makes sense.
And I think the whole question is whether or not you believe John Tortorella to be wanting to go a Bill Parcells route of, shopping for the groceries and everything else.
Yeah.
But I don't ever get that impression from John Tortorella. Certainly he wants to have input, I think, on decisions and everything else, but I do believe that the coaching is where he's most comfortable.
Yeah. And look, Danny, if nothing else, you take a look at the moves that Danny made in the offseason, the trades that he made, the signings that he made, and how they fit the mold of this team. I mean, you got to give him credit. So, you can't just sit there and Danny Briere, what a brilliant idea, the way he traded Kevin Hayes, or the way he traded Ivan Provorov, or the way he, got rid of those salaries and did this, and that was a great move. And, everybody's coming up with all the nicknames that we can't say on the press show for Danny Briere. But the fact of the matter is you can't say that and then on the other side say, well, a move that they didn't make is all because of Torts. Because let's be honest, John Tortorella would have been perfectly fine with this team trading Travis Sanheim. And they ultimately did not trade Travis Sanheim, and you see the kind of season that he's having. So there's a situation where the coach would have preferred it a different way, and it ended up not happening. So I think you got to look at it and say, yes, he's got a voice, but it's not the voice. Danny Briere still has the voice.
Let's get to some guys that probably could use a good game. I haven't seen the lineup. Have you seen the lineup yet of who's in and who's out?
I have not seen the official lineup. I get their warm-ups are going on behind us. If you want me to turn around, I can look and tell you.
Why don't you turn around? Do something productive. Anthony, arguably better Anthony. Young guys this season, we've seen a Bobby Brink come out of the lineup. Torts said the other day that he wants to be clear, I guess, with the fan base and also clear with the players, that if a guy goes out for a few games, it's not necessarily an indictment of their play. It's just, I guess, the nature of having to work so many guys into the lineup. Have you been impressed to this point in the season with a Bobby Brink, with a Tyson Forster? Do you agree with Torts' idea of rotating these guys in and out? Where do you stand?
I think you I think you have to. I think sometimes, especially if a player is. This is the first year, obviously, and Bobby Brink obviously had a cup of coffee last year with the Flyers, but this is obviously a much more extensive tour of duty for him. There is something to be said for if a player is struggling to have them sort of get the eagle eye view from upstairs to see what's going on the ice, to see process live versus just in a video playback during practice or. So I would say I think I've been impressed with Brink, but again, he's got growing pains just like any other young player is going to have. Tyson Foster has had as well. I've liked Foster's game away from the puck this year as well. I think he's trying to rounding his game in a bit more, but they're going to need scoring out of him on a more regular basis for sure.
Yeah, so that's the reason that he's kind of staying in the lineup. Is because he has played well, even though he's not scored.
Yes,
he has done the other things well, and Torts is rewarding that. Yeah, they want him to score. They want Forster to score goals. But if you're playing the game the right way within the system, even if you're not being productive, you will get a longer leash than if you are not being productive and not playing the game that way he wants you to play. Bobby Brink, people are seeing him out on the ice. He's not going to be in the lineup today. Torts had announced that already. He is taking warm-ups, but he's not going to be out there. Mark Stahl was originally thought to be back maybe today or tomorrow. He's now not going to play today. I think tomorrow he will be back in the lineup. And then it'll be interesting to see what they do, how they maneuver the defensive pairings around. But look, I mean, a lot of people gave Torts a lot of grief for when he sat Morgan Frost. Sat him 6 games, brought him back, sat him again.
I include myself in that as well. Sure.
Morgan Frost has played pretty well since he got back in, hasn't he?
Yeah. I think it's the whole case of just when you've been out of the lineup for as long as you have, you want to, whether it's, from a personal perspective in terms of, first, you obviously had a great I thought he had a great preseason, struggled the first 2 games, and everybody knows obviously what happened after that. There's a motivation factor involved. It's a combination of personal motivation for him, but I'm sure it's also a case of showing to the coach who scratched you, healthy scratched you for 6 games or so. I should be in this lineup on a regular basis. I provide a skill set that this lineup needs. So, yeah, I think he's done well so far.
Now, we've had this conversation on the show, but do you view this as a coaching masterclass by John Tortorella, or is it really just so much of the guy was out of the lineup and he's motivated because whether it's here or somewhere else, he wants to play in the NHL, and it really just comes down to the player?
I think it does come down to the player. Again, at the end of the day, you're the coach, you can push so many buttons, and John Tortorella made a decision that this is the button he wanted to push with Morgan Frost. So now, this is a case where personal motivation is going to be a big part of it, I think. Absolutely.
That's a great question that's up on the screen right now. How much of Frost's line mates have to do with his recent improvement? Look, I do think that he has been motivated by the scratches. To steal the old line from the late Bobby Knight, your butt on the bench is the best motivator, right?
Yeah.
Bench motivates butt, right? So, but at the same time, Morgan Frost is a player who definitely needs to play with better players. He needs to play with talent that can.
Yeah, you can't play him on line 4. You're not going to get what which everybody brought the point of he could be scratched 6 games and then he's automatic and then he's on line 2. Well, where else are you going to put a player of his skill set? Playing him on line 4 takes away from what he could potentially produce for you. So that was always my response to that is you don't need to have him in the tippy toe into the pool. You can throw him in the deep end. You can be perfectly fine with that.
Let's look at the Vegas Golden Knights, defending Cup champs coming in. Flyers played a pretty darn good game against them out in Vegas last month. They're in the middle of a 5-game road trip. This is the 3rd game in the trip. Looked ugly against Washington on Tuesday. Had a nice bounce back win the other night. They are a heavy team. They play a big defensive first game. Not to mention the fact though that they have a lot of skill. Teams usually coming home off of a road trip in their first game home are a little sluggish, but how used to playing at 1 p.m. Eastern time are the Golden Knights, right? I mean, so it's there's a little bit of questions each way.
They have to fight through it too.
Yeah, they have to fight through it a little bit.
Yeah.
So what do you look at in this game, and how do you see this one playing out?
It's interesting because the Flyers' history against the Golden Knights has been a pretty decent one. Whenever you believe that they're going to, struggle against them, they always seemingly surprise against that team. But the Flyers in a matinee always sometimes concern me. They are, especially coming off a road trip, as you said. Sometimes they're going to come out maybe potentially a little bit sluggish. So my whole thing is if Vegas kind of gets up on them early in this one, it could be very well be tough sledding. They have to take the initial advantage on them, I think, in this circumstance to try to, basically be able to leverage that against them.
There was question whether or not Carter Hart was going to be in goal tonight or today. I'm stunned by that question. I mean, I know he was last off at practice yesterday, and I guess that's where this kind of came from. But if you're the Flyers and you have back-to-back games and you're going to start one goalie one game, one goalie the next, with the way Carter Hart has played, why would you even think twice about going Hart against Vegas, Urson against Columbus? Like, I mean, does it make any sense to you to go the other way around?
No, it
I don't understand why the questions are
you're up
coming
against the NHL's best team. You put your best guy forward in that circumstance, even if it's not. And you can make, what's it, division.
It's all about confidence.
It comes down to you want them up against the best teams.
Exactly.
If you're trying to win, yeah. If you're trying to win, sure.
Well, but you keep saying that, and I don't think that there is a mindset by the coaching staff of not trying to
I'm
win.
not saying that they're trying to lose. I'm merely pointing out that, like, from a confidence perspective, if the idea is to keep Carter Hart's head on straight, then I say you probably want to put him up against Columbus because it's a good lift for him.
But he's been playing great against no matter who he's played.
He's played very well.
There's not even a question in my mind, guys. I think this is an automatic. And the fact that it was even a discussion point anywhere, social media, just because Hart stayed on later in practice.
There's probably also part of the thought here that last year Tortorella really seemed to like what he was getting out of Ersson. And there was an idea that not that they were going to go to like a 60-40 split, but that he might try to look to get Ersson some more games. What are you pointing at? You have the ability to pull things up. What?
No, I'm not on my computer. I don't. On that one, I do. That intern Andrew's
All right,
using.
what do you want? What one did you want to pull?
No, Raymond Supper just had it up there, and it was a good point. He says the Flyers have to chase this game. It'll be tough sledding. One of the things that the Flyers have been doing really well to this point, Ant, is they've gotten out to good starts in the first period. All right, they're scoring early. I think they're the highest scoring, or tied for the most goals, or they were the other day, tied for the most goals in the NHL in the first period. And they had the most wins in the NHL when leading after a period.
Yeah.
So, like, that tells you that that's the game that they need. They need good starts. And if you get behind a team like Vegas, forget it.
Yeah,
I mean, you got to get out on this team.
You want to be able to lean on them early. That's basically what it comes down to, because they're, again, the nature of the opponent. Vegas, just a big, fast, physical, strong blue line. You have to get out front. It's imperative, because then they will do the same thing to you. They will wear you down if they get the lead.
Well, Ant, listen, we appreciate you coming on for a few minutes here pregame.
Pleasure.
Enjoy the game. Where can everybody find you?
So on I guess it's X now at this point now, at Anthony Mingione. My name, nothing in between. I do a weekly podcast called Off the Post Radio with Russ Cohen and Michael Augello. It's an NHL-based show. We do talk Flyers, but we also talk, obviously, NHL as well. I'm on Threads as well, all the other social media platforms. Not TikTok, sorry. But
oh, that's okay. That's all right.
And obviously, my articles at centerricephilly.com.
Awesome. Ant, thanks for popping on.
My pleasure, Ant.
We'll have you on again down the road.
Appreciate it.
All right, cool.
We go from 2 ants down to 1.
Yes. Appreciate it, my friend.
We have a lot going on. A lot going on up here. We've already had a bunch of people checking in, and we actually have somebody over there. I don't know if he's on the phone right now, or if he's just listening to what we're doing, but I think we should bring him on if he's willing to. So we made this joke the other day about how we're going to give an award for the farthest person who shows up at the tailgate that we're going to plan now, because Bundy put it out into the universe. So now we have to make the tailgate happen. And there's somebody who's typically in the comments section here who's not there right now because he's here. And that's Andrew Fawcett, who does not live in Delco, who does not live north of the wall in Schuylkill County. No. Andrew, tell the people where you live.
San Antonio, Texas.
And he's here.
I am.
And why are you here?
I came up for a high school reunion that got canceled, and decided to
wait a second.
Decided to just come up anyway and come see you guys.
So he could have canceled because the reunion got canceled, and instead decided to still come up here, buy a ticket to this game, which I don't think was originally planned.
No.
And now he's here on the Press Row Show.
Yes.
That's awesome. That's awesome. But how does high school reunion just get canceled?
Lack of interest.
Are you serious? Come on, man. Like, we still have, we're. I don't know how old you are, but I get the sense that you're in my generation.
Probably.
I
Yeah.
think he's probably closer to my age than yours.
I disagree. You're too young, right? But
You can whisper it.
no. But my point is that we recently had our. Well, I shouldn't say recently, but my 30th was a couple years ago, and we still had I think it was 80 people.
Yeah.
Come to the 80 guys out of a graduating class of 190
Wow.
that came. I was like, that's a great turnout, right? I can't imagine that nobody wants to go.
I'm gonna date myself here. I've got my 15th class reunion next weekend.
Yeah, I know. So you can't come to my show because of it.
And
I'm closer to Ant.
okay, yeah, I guess. You look great.
Thanks,
great.
I appreciate
Very
it.
youthful and fit. But I have to tell you that I was a little bit concerned about mine happening because we've never done a reunion. There's never been interest. And I'm pretty sure we only have 30 or 40 people maybe out of a class of 298. So I'm very interested to see what the turnout looks like. But is it just because social media and because Facebook has kept everybody in touch, now nobody feels the need to get together? Let us know in the comments the last time you went to a class reunion and how long it's gone on for. But what do you think?
I think that's part of it for sure. I think a lot of it is there's a lot of folks that didn't leave the area and so are still friends and still see each other. So why do they need to spend money on a reunion to hang out?
And what school is this?
Washington Township.
Washington Township, New Jersey.
Class of 1993.
See? He's only a year younger than me. Even though I'm 91, but I was a year ahead. So.
I was 2 years old when you graduated. Anyway,
yeah.
Question for you. How long have you been watching / listening to Snow the Goalie, the Only Flyers podcast?
Consistently for about 4 or 5 months, off and on for, I don't know, a couple of years. I listen to a lot of hockey podcasts, so.
I like that. Very good.
It's good stuff. Well, and listen, we appreciate you coming up.
Let's get your prediction for tonight.
Yeah, give us a prediction.
3-2 Vegas.
3-2 Vegas. That's
my score.
Wow.
That's my prediction.
Listen, we're going to have to throw you on the graphic that I'm eventually going to put together. I also decided that we're going to let intern Andrew offer his predictions as well. Now, he's many games behind, but if things continue to go the way they will, he'll probably pass me
He'll catch you.
by the New Year.
Yeah,
so,
not
New
Year,
we'll have
before
to see.
Christmas.
All
I
right,
predict
fine.
He
Anyway,
catches you before Christmas.
Andrew, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for
listening.
me.
Thanks for watching. So far, the farthest visitor to the Press Row Show.
Visitor.
From Texas. So,
Yeah.
thanks for coming on.
Appreciate
Appreciate
it,
it.
my friend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so let's get to here we go. Let's get to today's game. And there have been a lot of look, we have somebody who hasn't even graduated yet is checking in. We have people from the class of '87. Intern Andrew, make sure you're scrolling through these because I'm very
Just moved the camera.
interested.
Dude has only got 2 hands.
Listen, you can sit there, you can click with one, you can adjust with the other.
Sounds like something you do at home all the time.
Was that an inappropriate? Ant, this is a G-rated show.
I didn't curse.
That's true. You click and you adjust. I agree. You click on the remote, you adjust yourself and get your beverage. You get a little dip of the buff chick dip. Oh, I might make buff chick dip tonight. I've actually been doing a good job, Anthony. I've been trying to eat like a good person. I've been trying to follow your lead since you're half the size of when we first met.
Yeah.
Good job to Ant. I'm trying a little bit. I went for a run yesterday. I'm very sore. But not as sore as these players are going to be. Because remember, this is the first time the Flyers have been back in Philadelphia in 2 weeks. Do you expect there to be a drop-off from what they've been able to accomplish on the road and going and winning in Carolina? Do they end up coming back and they're smelling themselves? Or is this an opportunity for them to carry the momentum through and have a respectable game against a very, 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 very talented Vegas team?
I think, is there an opportunity? There is an opportunity, and I don't think that they will be in a complete lull. But I do think that this is a tough look. First games back after a road trip at home are always tough.
Yeah.
Just because you got to readjust to being back home after being out on the road, especially if you've been on the road for as long as they were on the road for. And they went out and came back and went out again and came back. So it's tough. And make it an afternoon game. It's time your body's not used to playing a game. I know that sounds like a stupid excuse, but when you're a professional athlete and you've trained your body to do things at a certain time at the same time every day, it does affect it a little bit. But Vegas is going to have to go through that as well, which is why I think the Flyers can kind of hang around a little bit. But I don't necessarily think that this is a great spot for them to continue playing the surprising hockey. I think that they'll play a good game. They'll be competitive, but I just think Vegas is too good of a team, and they're off to such a great start in proving that they're not having the hangover of winning the championship. I think this is a tough spot for the Flyers. I like them a lot more tomorrow than I do today. I'll take Vegas, and my score was going to be before Andrew came on.
You could still take it
3-2, yeah.
So you're going to go 3-2. I need to get a score from Bundy. So you're taking 3-2 Vegas.
Yes.
I'm guessing that Bundy's probably going to take the Flyers. He's been taking the Flyers so much. Who's in net today?
Kinda hot, and I think Aiden Hill for Vegas.
Okay. And I agree with Nancy. She'll make it on the graphic too. I think Vegas wins. I saw people, by the way, some people complaining that I'm very negative because I pick against the team, and you brought it up that you and Bundy have picked the Flyers like half the games.
No, Bundy picked them more than both of us. He picked them for 8, and I think you and I were 6 each.
Okay, so let's be real here and level set, right? Good corporate lingo. It's a rebuild, so of course I'm going to think that the other team is going to have a good chance. I'm going to take Vegas today. I think that the Flyers light the lamp a few times. I'm going to go Vegas 5-3.
Okay. So yeah, I have a hard time seeing Carter Hart give up 5 goals the way he's playing.
I don't think he makes it through.
Wow, that would be the first time this year he gets pulled for performance.
He has the stomach thing going on. Who knows?
Well, he played the other day. He was fine.
Sometimes
really
you get a little grumbly in your tum.
Are you going to let intern Andrew give his pick?
Intern Andrew, what's your pick? 5-3 Flyers, he says.
Wow. Look at that.
Wow. What a homer. He's on the payroll.
No, he's coming after you, Russ. That's what he heard you pick Vegas, and he's like, I only have to win 6 games to catch Russ.
That's true.
I'm picking the Flyers.
By the way, we have a bunch of people dropping their predictions in the comments. Who do you want to see? Let's go. Let's steal a bit from what the radio and the TV do.
We're going to do it.
Actually, I'd rather not, because this is the #1 rated pregame show for a reason. Who are you looking at today, Jeez Louise, today, as somebody that you want to see have a breakout performance, somebody that needs to kind of establish themselves here in the first game back in front of the home crowd in 2 weeks?
I'd really like to see a good game from Cam York. They don't need to have a breakout game by any stretch of the imagination, but I do think that they need to. I do think he needs to play a better version of his game against a Vegas team that's going to be pressuring the Flyers' defense a lot. So I want to see Cam York have a good game. I really do. And I really think it would be the best thing for him to Tyson Forster to get a freaking goal.
Yeah.
Just get a goal.
Like a good goal, not like a. Not
I don't care.
Yeah, I like the
idea
of
it can bounce off of his
goal.
knee and into the. I don't care.
All right.
Just get it because it's a mental thing, right? All of a sudden, you no longer have that donut under your goals column. It doesn't matter how it went in. Nobody's going to remember at the end of the season how that goal was scored. They're just going to remember that you had a goal, right? So it'd be nice for him to get that. So, yeah, that's what I'd like to see. Those are the 2 guys I'd like to see have a good game. York play a good game at the point, and I'd like to see Forster finally get a goal.
So it's funny that you picked York because my pick is his partner. I want to see a big game out of Travis Sanheim. I think that Travis Sanheim has done a good job of rebounding. He had a few games, especially at home, that were subpar at best. He looks like he's playing more confident hockey. I want to see him establish himself in front of Vegas. I would like to see, I don't care if he makes it on the score sheet, I want to see Travis Sanheim play a more physical game, and I want to see him have a good showing today. It doesn't have to be perfect. He doesn't have to be responsible for keeping Vegas off the score sheet. But I would like to see a strong performance where we get done, and while you're frolicking off to the locker room and Bundy and I are here for postgame, I want to be able to talk to Bundy about what is it exactly that got Travis Sanheim in position to have such a strong game today.
Okay.
I expect, though, a Cam Atkinson to light the lamp. That's why I said
you got all these goals happening, man. Vegas doesn't give up a lot. He's got everybody's scoring.
But here's why I have Cam scoring. He has done a sensational job this season of putting himself in advantageous positions because he is a wily veteran and because he knows how to score and he knows how to put himself in position to collect the puck in front of the net and to score.
Oh, by the way, forgot it's Star Wars night here.
Oh, it is. Is there a giveaway? We got to chase down somebody from
an orange lightsaber? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't see any kind of. There has to be a giveaway, right?
What usually is the thing that cracks me up is all the people who come in costume.
I haven't seen anybody in costume up here in the sports book that's unnamed because they don't sponsor the show.
It would be ridiculous to have somebody up in the sports book in costume. That would be ridiculous.
I really hope Bundy shows up here dressed as like a Sith Lord. That would be hilarious.
No, but Bundy sounds sometimes when he gets angry, he sounds like Chewie.
I can't do it. That's a little bit better. That's kind of close.
Yeah.
I don't see anybody. Oh wait, nope. There you go. She's got the little, what's the thing called? It's kind of like a little bird chipmunk thing.
I thought it was an Ewok for a second, but that's not.
No. It's a. Somebody let us know in the comments. It's the thing that kind of looks like a bird and a chipmunk had a weird baby. I think it's part of like the newer one with the BB rolling thing. It's like a cute little thing. I don't know. Somebody has to know. There has to be some Star Wars aficionado right now who's like freaking out that we don't know the name of it. But it's like brown. It's got like orange by the eyes. It's got like a white chest. There we go. A porg. Intern Andrew. This is why he gets paid the big bucks. A porg. So somebody's here with a porg on their shoulder. That's the first sign of Star Wars that we have seen up here in the unnamed sportsbook. So we have a lot of. Oh, here we go. Anthony should be Darth Vader. I see.
Yeah, because they want
after the first period.
Yeah. Well, so I can come on here and say, Russ, I am your father? Is that what the goal is there?
I don't like that. Oh, this hurts. J Money. The Chipmunk Star Wars thing. Oh, yeah, that's Russ Joy. That's hurtful. Here you go. Here, do you want to act this out? Go ahead.
Russ, I am your father.
No! No! All right,
that's enough.
Yeah. God help us.
Yeah.
Or if you don't believe in God, tree help us, I guess. We want to make sure that we're inclusive here. The game's about to get underway, and we've unleashed our predictions. I'm still waiting to hear back from Bundy with his prediction. We'll put it out on Twitter. We'll be back for first intermission, second intermission, and postgame, of course. We are, after all, the #1 rated pregame, intermission, and postgame show this side of the Mississippi. Make sure you come back here. We're on YouTube, and I will tell people this. We have a committed number of people who keep the press row show up during the periods where we have the game center with all the stats, and there are people who just have a conversation in the YouTube comments during the game. So while we're not contractually allowed to have the sounds or the sights of the ice during the game, you can keep this up on your phone, on your tablet, on your computer, and you can continue the conversation in the YouTube comments. We love that. We encourage it. Be respectful to one another, but certainly love that idea. So by all means, you can stay there. And if you're on Twitter, we'd encourage you to go to YouTube or to Facebook so you can comment. We can't pull your tweets up on the screen. So, Ant, anything else that you want to say to the people before we head out?
No.
Okay. This has been the Press Row Show, the #1 rated pregame show.
I got one.
What?
Do or do not. There is no try.
Win or win not. It does not matter.
I know I'd get you doing your Yoda. It's good.
A heart Carter has. A win the Flyers will not earn.
All right, it's time to go.
All right, that's it. We're done.
Everybody
Off the rails.
Everybody have a fantastic first period. We'll be back here as soon as the horn sounds. So for Ant, I'm Russ. We'll talk to you in like a few minutes. Like, let's be real here. It'll only be a few minutes.
clicking and adjusting over there, Russ?
We're good. We're good. Welcome into the Press Row Show, the #1 rated first intermission show this side of the Mississippi. I'm Russ Joy, at Joy on Broad. That's Anthony SanFilippo, at SanFilly. And the man over there who's getting his headphones adjusted by intern Andrew is Bundy, Chris Therien. You can find him on Twitter, at CTherien6. Just as we all predicted and wrote it up, the Flyers are leading 1-0 after the first period. As everyone knows, without checking Twitter, please don't go look there. We all picked the Flyers to win this game by definitive fashion. And please don't go look at Twitter because we just gave you our prediction here. Guys, the Flyers looked horrific for the first 4 to 5 minutes of that period. Multiple breakaway opportunities for the Golden Knights. And Bundy, I want to actually get to something that you said pretty late in the first period, which was, how the hell do they have 14 shots on net?
Yeah, I looked at Anthony. I go, I felt like I was missing something. The first 6-7 minutes of that period and a couple more after that felt like completely dominated by Vegas. Yep. They had tap-in goals. They missed 3 of them. They had a breakaway on the first shift of the game. They did a lot of good things. The only thing that they didn't get was a power play opportunity, and the Flyers did. And the god-awful power play by the Philadelphia Flyers, you know what? How did they score today, Anthony?
Shot on goal, put in the rebound.
Hey, guys, I know that we can't do Bundy bombs here on the Press Row Show, but I want to do this in honor of the Flyers scoring on the power play. Yeah. I mean, it felt like that in here. I think there was just a general sense of shock. Like, if you go back and listen to that goal, did people cheer? They did. And then I think there was just a quiet hush of, wait, did they just score on the power play?
Yeah, I know, right?
They really? What? It's kind of funny, though, when and Bundy, here's another thing that I want to get to that you said early in the game. One of our listeners, Andrew, who flew all the way up from Texas to come join us here for the Press Row Show, he noted early in the game, it looks like the Golden Knights are out there playing and practicing their power play in the first 5 minutes of the game. And you said there was one thing that Vegas had in those first 5 minutes and just in general has more than the Flyers. Skill. Can you explain to the people just how much of a difference skill makes at even strength?
Well, I mean, you could see it, right? Like the goals that we're talking about that they were just missed on. I mean, like I said, backdoor tap-ins, guys were ill prepared for them on Vegas. When you can take a team down like that and make it look that easy on 5-on-5, you know, you want to make sure you keep a team like that off the power play. But Vegas, listen, they just won the Stanley Cup. Like, they won 4 rounds and pretty much destroyed everybody doing it. It's the best team in the league until someone else proves me wrong, and the Flyers have had a great start. Have they had the chances and the quality opportunities Vegas has? Not even close. But they have the one on the board that counts the most.
Yeah, I think that the shot chart is a little deceiving in this first period.
Yes.
That it's 14-7 favor of the Flyers, or 14-8, whatever. They get one there at the end. Vegas, I think they did. So I think it's a little deceiving because those are not high-quality chances. But big credit to Carter Hart to start the game.
Yep.
Like those first 6 minutes could have been ugly for the Flyers. It could have been 3-0 Vegas real quick. And Carter Hart made a couple of really nice stops. The one on the breakaway, he made a nice glove save on a shot from the right circle. A couple other stops that were maybe not as high percentage, but still important saves. Without that, they get behind early, and you cannot chase Vegas, especially if you're the Flyers. You cannot chase Vegas. So I think you really got to give a lot of credit to the goaltending. But then Flyers kind of settled in a little bit because after Vegas got those shots, Bundy, they played a pretty good defensive period. I mean, their 14 shots might have surprised a lot of people because they weren't great. But I think that they played a pretty solid game in their end to kind of limit Vegas after those first, few chances.
There's no doubt. About halfway through the period, you're right. It almost felt like the Flyers were the ones that were playing on the road and had to sustain the first 10 minutes, and Vegas were the ones that came in here and kind of dictated tempo a little bit. But I really do think that ultimately that was probably, we forget a little bit too, that was the first game back off a road trip.
Yep.
And there's a lot of teams, we don't talk about it, that do struggle a little bit early. And that may have been the blueprint for the Flyers, getting acclimated again to an early afternoon game back in Philly after a 4-game road trip. There's a lot of credence to that, I believe, over time. But They didn't have a great start, but they have a lead, and they started playing better the last 7-8 minutes of the first period. So we'll see what that translates to. You can't let Vegas off the hook at all. You can't sleep on them for a minute or they can hurt you, especially 5-on-5, where they're going to be most of the night. But the Flyers certainly want to make sure that they don't give them any power play opportunities.
I do want to make sure that we get to something that we introduced on Snow the Goalie, the Only Flyers podcast, earlier this week, or maybe it was the end of last week. We played the expected goals game. And, guys, I have to tell you that despite the fact that the Flyers have lost some games recently via expected goals, but have actually, won the game, can confirm that the Flyers won the expected goals battle in the first period, 0.83 to 0.79. So, good job to the Flyers.
So, Bundy, when was the last time you scored 0.8 goals?
Yeah, you know what?
0.83. Let's not,
You can't get.
It's not undercut
How can
them.
you have an expected goal of less than 1?
Don't ask that question unless you're ready for the answer.
But it not be 0. How can you have an expected goal?
That's
Anthony?
one for the nerd herd.
Right. I mean, think about that for a second. I mean, let's be honest, and this is why I think it's. Look, I think that I understand the value of the stat when you want to adjust, look at a game and what happened in a game and why it happened. Okay, fine, but I don't know how you could sit there and say that you had a higher than 0 expected goals, but did not have 1.
Yeah, I don't get that, right?
It's
Like,
actually
hey, I got 0.831.
0.831. Money Puck. Thank you to Money Puck for the stats. 0.831.
Yeah, ridiculous.
We'll just get let's get somebody with a math degree or a bunch of spreadsheets to explain it to us laymen. We do not understand.
Yeah.
We have Nanstradamus.
That's right. We do. She's great. She's great. Hey, there you go. Yeah, Nanstradamus. Good job. She called it. So, Bundy, I don't know. Obviously, this is the one downside to not having you on the #1 rated pregame show this side of the Mississippi.
Yeah.
Ant and I both gave our predictions / hopes for who would have a good game today. Ant picked Cam York. I picked Travis Sanheim. Who did you go into this game wanting to see something from?
Yeah, Cam York.
Okay.
Would be him, and actually, I'll add another layer forward. I need to see more out of Noah Cates.
I agree with
Then,
that,
to be
too.
honest with you, than we've seen all year. So I don't like to be unfair to any player or call him out, but he's a guy that had a great year last year. He opened a lot of eyes, and he needs to follow that up.
He's having a sophomore slump kind of thing.
He is. I hate that, but when you get to that 20-game mark, shake it off and get moving.
Bundy, how real is the sophomore slump? Can you put people in the skates of a player? It seems to be a thing, but if so, why?
I think a sophomore slump is something where you achieve numbers and then you don't achieve the same numbers the next year, and they look at it you haven't been your same. I've seen guys play the exact same in second years, and everyone's like, oh my God, he's in a sophomore slump, and he wasn't at all. But you know what? Unfortunately, perception becomes reality sometimes, and the only way to get out of it is just to keep playing hard. But there's another gear there, and we even just think a couple weeks ago we were asking where Owen Tippett was, right?
Yeah.
We need to see more Owen Tippett. Morgan Frost, Yep. So we're not talking about them anymore because they've turned the corner. Morgan Frost battled like a pro, came back in, is getting some points. But for me, it's Cates and York are the guys they need to be playing a lot of minutes and significant minutes for guys that have to be an integral part of this team.
Would it surprise you guys to see Cates come if this continues through, if this continues to hold, if the style of play continues to hold in the performance? Would you be surprised to see a Noah Cates come out of the lineup at some point in an effort to try to bring back a Bobby Brink into the lineup? And it's afraid to talk.
No,
I don't want.
I'm
He's saying
trying to
turn the camera. He's saying turn
Yes,
the camera,
well,
not the chair.
Well, you're asking a question,
There you go.
and I didn't want to interrupt the question. That's
Bless
all.
your heart. Would you guys be surprised to see down the line of Noah Cates come out so a Bobby Brink comes back in? Torts has talked about rotating these guys and not being an indictment on their play if they're out for extended period. Where do you land? Because Cates just hasn't been impressive.
He hasn't, but here's the difference, right? If you're bringing Bobby Brink back into the lineup, he's not filling the role that Noah Cates fills. So you then have to readjust your lineup, and I'm not certain that that's an even swap. You know what I'm saying, Bundy? Like Brink comes back in, okay, fine, but he's a winger that plays on your top 9, whereas Noah Cates right now he's a center and he's playing either third line or fourth line center, depending on where they have Paling. So it's what do you do? How do you adjust the lineup? And do you want to move the lineup around that much to get one guy back into the lineup?
No, not necessarily. And I know Torts is trying. He obviously wants to get Brink back in because there's moments he did do a good job, but at what cost, right? Like, I mean, listen, this is a guy that sat out Frost. We thought 4 games beyond what we thought was necessary, and he didn't care at all. So, again, I mean, there's a part of holding a young guy responsible so he doesn't grab it all at once. And Bobby Brink, I think, was trying to get too much of it at one time because he's playing well. So you got to reel a player back in sometimes, and I think it's a good time for that. But at the same time, you don't want to take a kid's confidence away because at the same time, he was playing pretty good hockey.
I want to take a moment here. If you're watching on YouTube, which is probably the preferred place to watch the Press Row Show, the #1 pregame, intermission, and postgame shows out of Mississippi, head over to YouTube. And if you're watching right now, hit that like button. Because as we know, and as the commenters like to say, it helps in the algorithm, helps us get to more Flyers fans. So take a second, hit a thumbs up. If you don't have a YouTube account, it's free. Doesn't have to be YouTube TV, just regular YouTube account. Sign up, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button. It helps us out. Also, the Snow the Goalie store, shop.snowthegoalie.com. You can get your merch, you can get your Bundy Butte shirt, you can get the logo shirt. We have some other stuff coming. I think we'll have a few new products in the shop just ahead of Black Friday, so get excited for that. All right, Ant, what stuck out to you in that period that we haven't already gotten to? Is there anything else? Is there a player who has stood out in any way for the Flyers that you go, hey, all right, nice little effort out there?
Well, I mean, look, Owen Tippett scores the power play goal, right? And then, like Bundy said, it was very simplistic. It was a shot, rebound, put it in. Okay, great. But what you now are seeing is Owen Tippett has maybe turned the corner a little bit. Bundy, he's getting the chances, right? I mean, he's putting them in. I guess what was it, the first 10 games of the season or 11 games of the season, he only had 2 goals. And now all of a sudden, the last 4 or 5 games, he's starting to put the puck in the net with a little bit more regularity. This is the Owen Tippett that the Flyers wanted to see. They needed him to be this kind of productive player for them, and he's delivering of late.
Especially coming off last year, right? Like when they got him for Giroux, I think they looked at him really as, well, we got a first-round pick, and we'll give you Owen Tippett. Because I don't know if Florida thought he was going to work out, because if they did, there's no way they would have thrown him into trade like that. So, I mean, an aging veteran, and then you end up getting a first and Owen Tippett. So he proved his worth last year, and as I've said before, when you provide goal scoring, they're going to continue to ask you to provide goal scoring until you get too old. So that's a daunting task, but at the same time, he has turned the corner, and he dealt with the adversity of not having the same kind of roadmap or blueprint that he did last year that made things work for him, and he's found that groove again. And for a guy that on a team that has trouble scoring goals, or we think does over the course of 82 games, that's much needed goal scoring by a guy that this team's come to count on.
There's a question. I saw a few questions in here, but there was one a little bit recently. I think I just lost it. Here we go. Manny, could Cates be playing injured? Looks like a completely different player. Is there a chance that he's afraid of coming out of the lineup? He's just playing through something?
I don't think so. I think we would have caught in wind of that if it was the case. I really do.
I agree. I don't. Yeah, we would have heard something, or it would have been. They would have, playing the way he has, they would have found a way to get him out of the lineup if he was hurt.
Another one about Coots, on how Couturier's looked the last few games. Looks a little bit stiff.
Look, you guys got to remember, Guy hasn't played competitive hockey for 2 years.
Don't give me guys. Just talk to him.
Who's the guy? Yeah, wait.
I get it.
I've given the benefit of the doubt here.
People
talk to them.
on
Look in the camera. Don't blame us.
I'm not blaming you.
No, you said guys.
Okay, well, I'm talking. You guys are here with me.
The royal.
The royal guys. The royal you guys.
Use guys.
Use guys. Yeah. But I mean, you gotta understand that there's going to be fits and starts with that coming back. Like, you might feel good and you might look good for a couple games, but then it's like your body has to get used to the grind of the season again. And it's like, okay, well, now how do I get my body back to where it needs to be at this point in the season? At this point in the season, so he's going to have stretches where it's going to look like he's playing great, and then he's going to have stretches where it's going to look like he's not there 100%, and it's just a matter of retraining the body to get back to playing an 82-game schedule.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's some nights, and we said it looks like he's got a piano on his back.
Yeah.
And that's because it's tough. Like, you got to get up, he's got to get moving. And the more the game goes on, I find Coots gets better as the game goes on a lot. So, I mean, he's been nothing but a positive for this team all year.
Physically, I mean, I haven't played through a back injury. You have.
Oh, yeah.
As the game goes on, and as you're starting to warm up those muscles and everything, is that really just a case of your body loosening up?
Yep. And that's it. Yeah,
and that's why he maybe starts a little bit slower, but then he looks better as the game goes on.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
How much of an impact does it have, an intermission especially? How do you stay warmed up? Like, how do you not tighten up?
Put a hot pack around your back.
It makes that big of a difference.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to go in and just stiffen up again and get cold because you're in the room for 18 minutes and you may not move, right? Like maybe you'd be sitting there. So I always get like a towel with one of those hot packs, pull it around my back, and pants back up again, go up and play. That's it.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, Ant, you'll know this one. Ogie, who's Corn Pop.
Corn Pop.
Who used to do all these great Photoshops of you, especially you in like Speedos, hasn't hit us with a recent Photoshop. Perhaps one with you with a remote in one hand and a bag of chips in the other. But again, Ant's lost a lot of weight, so it's not, it's not really that accurate anymore. But he wants to congratulate me. 8th home game I've attended this year, passing the 7 games for the past 3 years combined. That's also not true. Thanks for your service. You're welcome. Glad to be here. Glad to live up to the hype for Corn Pop.
So Titan Flyers ask, if you can pop that one up, Russ, asking when does that reason end for Coots? I think you got to give him the season, and in all honesty, I mean, the body is going to react at different ways at different points.
Yeah.
You got to. It's like it's seriously like it's like a pitcher coming off of Tommy John, right? And now you got to get used to throwing a ball, and it's going to feel a lot different because you've had that reconstructive surgery on your elbow. And how does it feel to throw that ball? And you usually say they're better the second year after Tommy John than they are their first year. I think it's the same thing for a player who hasn't played that long. He's going to have those. He's going to be fine. It's just a matter of you got to get used to it. You got to get the body back to playing. What does it feel like after the 40-game point, after the 50-game point? What does it feel like in March when you're playing 20 games in 30 days? What is that like? I mean, that all has to be taken into consideration.
I hurt my back in 2001. I'm still trying to figure out the answers.
There you go. Guys, with 25 seconds here until they drop the puck, where do you see the score at after the second period?
Ugh.
I hate this.
I don't like this.
I hate
either.
your period predictions.
You know what, Russ?
What's that?
4-1 Vegas.
Wow.
And I can't use the bomb right now, but man, do I want to.
Yeah, although the bomb, normally the bomb would follow by you, Russ.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's go. I'm going to go 2-2, and it's going to be a grab for the third period win.
Okay, Ant?
I'll say 1-1 at the end of the period.
I think 3-1. 3-1 Vegas after 2. So we'll see. All right, we will be back for the second intermission here on the #1 rated second intermission show, the Press Row Show. Follow along for the Game Center stats. Continuing the conversation in YouTube comments, and we will see you soon. certainly a second period. Welcome into the Press Row Show, the #1 rated second intermission show this side of the Mississippi. Russ Joy and SanFilippo and Bundy on the end. Gentlemen, what a period that was. The comment section on the YouTube channel, by the way, absolutely on fire that period. A very up and down period for your team, your town, your Philadelphia Flyers. Let's break it all down. Quick reaction. Bundy, gut reaction to that period.
A lot of back and forth, and you can't give a team like Vegas those kind of opportunities late in the period. Flyers have been decent, but just not quite good enough to lock that period down and take a lead into the third against a team that keeps coming at you.
And I'll take it one step further, and it's going to be hard to criticize the power play when they have 2 power play goals in this game. But you cannot get a 5-minute power play and not get something on it, because that completely swings the momentum the other way, and that changed the game. They did not score on the power play there, and then all of a sudden Vegas comes back down. They get their 2 goals. They get the goals to tie it. Flyers take a quick lead again on that Walker seeing eye shot from the blue line, and then the Flyers suddenly decided that they're going to take penalties out the wazoo, and you can't give Vegas 5-on-3 power play. You just can't.
The funny part, too, with the Flyers' 5-minute power play, it's weird. Yeah, I don't know, maybe watching too many games, but I felt like the first 30 seconds, nothing was going to happen on that power play.
Yeah.
It's like I knew it. There was no danger. I didn't sense danger. I didn't smell a sense of urgency at all, because that is, in a game, the critical time to bury a team. I mean, you've got a freebie on a call, by the way. That I don't know what that was, but if that's a new major in this league, holy.
And misconduct, right?
Well, and a game misconduct.
It was a major and a game misconduct.
I cross-check him right in the face
well,
or something? Am I missing something?
No. So what it was, from apparently just watch, and just people talking about it on Twitter and stuff, apparently, I guess, on the way down, he kind of drives him into the net, and so his face clips the crossbar.
Okay.
So that ends up being, I mean, I don't think that was I think the high cross-check was the intent.
Yes.
I don't think the landing on the net and getting your face against the crossbar, I don't think that's the intent, which is why I thought it was a little bit excessive of a penalty. Like, Bundy, how many times did that used to happen after a whistle when you played?
All the time.
Like every game.
Like all the time. But now you're giving majors for that?
I know.
Unbelievable.
It was a 2. It was certainly a 2. The 5, I was like, okay, but the game misconduct was another. That was just a whole nother level. That was a whole nother level.
A man of the people.
I love the fact that he just walks around talking to everybody.
We talked about this pregame.
Yeah, but that's what we said. Okay, I'm not doing like a big picnic here on what it was, but that's how you get your fans. When you're the top of the food chain and you have enough humility to go out and speak to the people that pay to come to the games. And that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
One of our listeners, Andrew Fawcett, who was on with us pregame, who flew up from Texas to come be here.
I love that.
For the Press Row Show. And bought a ticket for this game, had no intention. He had a class reunion that got canceled, and he was like, oh, I'm going to come up anyway. I'm going to buy a ticket to the game. First time he's been here in 20 years, he said, in this building. Dan Hilferty is up here at the same time pregame.
Yeah.
Walks over, shakes the guy's hand. Now, I will say this from now until the time something changes in this organization. Hilferty has the most genuine interactions with people, where we have run into plenty of snake oil salesmen in sports and in media. That guy, if you're ever up here in the sports book, if you're ever up here in the top row, pre-game, he's here every game.
Go say hello.
And usually, at some point during the game, he's walking through, takes pictures, shakes hands. Great, like just great, and that makes an impact, by the way.
It absolutely
because with any fan, you take the moment, you shake the hand, you take the picture. That's kind of what helps turn things around. And now I said that nice thing. Let's get back to hockey here for a second. You mentioned it, total momentum shift.
Yeah.
On that 5-minute major. Yeah. And you were the one, you predicted up here, you said they're not going to score. Bundy, you're right, the first 30 seconds of that 5-minute power play.
And I knew they weren't going to score.
You could tell.
Felt like garbage. And it sucks because when you look at it, they've actually scored twice on the power play today. They've looked relatively confident. Forster gets on the score sheet for the first time this season. Things are trending the right way. They blow that opportunity. And the way that period ended, with a 5-on-3, 3 guys in the box,
Yeah, well, so
horrendous.
So I thought
that can't happen.
the penalty on connecting was a little ticky-tack. I mean, it could go either way. I get frustrated when I see those things called. It's like there's really no reason for that in the game. But Scott Lawton's got to be more aware on the cross-check into the boards. It's a 5-on-3. You can't be cross-checking a guy. I understand you want to, be a little bit aggressive, go get the puck, separate the puck. You want to get that puck out of the zone. But you can't take that penalty, right, Bundy? I mean, that's the killer because then that penalty doesn't even start until the first one ends.
Yep.
So now you got a 5-on-3 for almost another 2 minutes.
And they're about 5 seconds away from it being another 5-on-3 after the Marchessault second goal.
Yeah.
Other thing lost in that period too, and certainly not a shot at anybody. That's the worst period Carter Hart has had in quite some time.
Yeah.
The first goal that Vegas scored, I mean, people might say it went up a stick. And Karam short side, still got to stop it.
Yeah.
The second one by Marchessault,
That's a bad one.
That's an awful goal and a spinorama that just has to be stopped. The third one, no chance. It was a block or a screen by Stone.
Yeah.
On a 5-on-3, no chance. But again, this is a game. They're tied now going into the third period. I think Vegas, Anthony, has had the better of the offensive momentum and the chances.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean anything. This is the kind of game the Flyers can steal.
It's a 20-minute game at this point.
Yep.
And the first couple of minutes of this third period are going to be huge.
Well, the first minute, the Golden Knights are on power play.
They're still on the power
a minute
play.
5 left.
Yeah.
As soon as the third period
right.
starts.
Vegas starts on the power play, and if they score and jump out, now all of a sudden the Flyers are chasing a team that knows how to lock it down when they have a lead and protect the lead. That's a problem for the Flyers. So I think it's important that that they really that penalty kill's got to come out and be strong in the first minute. Otherwise, it could get away from the Flyers quick.
Yeah,
there's a lot of comments coming in, and like we mentioned, a lot of comments going through the periods. We encourage people, if you're on YouTube, to keep up the conversation while the game center's up.
Let's talk about some positive things, though, Russ.
I want to get to one thing that was incredibly positive. The shot by Sean Walker is the shot of his life.
You love that shot.
You know what they call those, Russ, in hockey?
Yeah, I do, but go ahead.
It's called the seeing eye shot.
Yeah.
Right. The puck had its own eyes.
It was. I mean, that was an absolutely beautiful goal.
Oh, stop it.
It was.
Stop it.
Are you kidding me?
He floated it from the blue line. It just so happened to catch the top corner of the net.
I wish I could Bundy bomb right now.
And
that was a great
and
Bundy.
It may have deflected. Like they showed one
you're
replay.
Nuts,
I know
but
I'm nuts in general, but
they showed one replay where it kind of looked like it might have caught a little bit of a stick, maybe not a Flyer stick, but maybe one of the Knights, and it might have slightly changed direction too.
The view of that shot from behind Walker.
Yeah, it's called a seeing eye shot.
It's a beautiful shot.
He threw it towards the net, hoping it hit something, and it happened.
And it found the back of the net.
But that doesn't make it a beautiful shot. You know what I'm saying?
I thought it looked
like a
sniper.
sniper.
What do you think?
It's not a sniper shot.
A beautiful shot.
Beautiful shot. There goes. See, Hilferty's back. He's back shaking hands. It was a great shot. I loved it. Goal of his life.
Yeah, you take it. It's look. You want your defenseman from the point getting shots on goal, right? I mean, that's how this team has to score. Not necessarily saying you need a seeing eye goal, but you want shots towards the net so you can get deflections, you get rebounds. That's how this team they grind it out and get goals that way because they don't have the high end skill. So good on Sean Walker.
You know what this
for
is,
doing
though?
what he did. But I mean, let's not turn it into
Hold on. No. You know what this is though. Little did the Flyers know in the off-season that they'd go out and get their number one defenseman, Sean Walker.
Yeah.
He's the Matt Niskanen replacement that Fletcher looked for years.
If dude wasn't wearing a Vegas Golden Knights thing, we would have brought him on camera wearing that freaking thing on his head.
The Ahsoka, right?
I do love the people that are dressed up like the Star Wars characters.
Yo, the Ewok. Intern Andrew, can you try to find on Twitter the picture that Bundy put up? And we'll we'll do it. We'll do a screen share. But actually, don't do it on there because that'll mess up the score. We'll find it. Bundy tweeted out a picture of riding the elevator up with an Ewok.
Yes.
That was a bigger Ewok than I remember from the movies.
I don't think an Ewok was that big, but it would look like a pretty big bugger next to me.
That's right. It's like the Andre the Giant of Ewoks.
This was trained, too, to not say anything either.
Man.
I tried to talk to him like, hey, how you doing? He's like, nothing.
Russ, I think
Really?
you're rough on intern Andrew.
I'm not rough on Andrew. No, I was just saying I don't want him to
give him a
waste.
hard time earlier on the camera and the comments.
Yeah.
Now you're yelling at him to pull something
No,
up.
I was
but you don't want
asking
him to
him to pull
screw
it
up
up.
the thing.
I was asking him to
It's going to screw up the scoreboard thing.
I don't want him. I don't want him to
Intern
have a
Andrew,
hard
do
part.
this, do that. Don't do this. Don't do it. Intern Andrew, what are you doing?
That's right.
I wanted to ride up the escalator, their elevator, with a Wookiee. Not an Ewok.
Hey, Bundy, can
Have
you
a better
make-
conversation with them.
Can you do the Chewbacca sound? Or you can. I don't even know what to say.
All right.
I feel like Bundy.
Really
Bundy,
taking it to another level here.
legit
Were you-
might have
were
Look at where you
tried.
guys
you
have
were-
brought me.
When you were a kid, were you a Star Wars fan?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so was I.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't. I just wasn't sure. Like,
All
I
right,
didn't know if
here
they
you go.
you were a Star Wars. You're
This
gonna
is
pull it
what
up.
this is what Bundy was riding with on the on the elevator. This wins costume of the day.
I hope they gave that person a
Dude,
prize.
look at the Ewok, how focused it is on the front of the elevator, like the door's open. He doesn't care I'm on there. He's like, no,
Yep,
I'm getting
doesn't-
focused.
Does
Yeah.
not care.
I mean, literally.
That's
I
fantastic.
hope that won the prize.
Yep.
Yes.
Do they give a prize?
I
don't know.
think they have something on the concourse.
Listen, if
There's
you're that person, if you're that Ewok on the elevator with Bundy, by all means reach out to us. We have to find a prize for you.
Yeah.
That was fantastic. That is by far the best one we've seen.
we sounds of the island steel drum. We've lost it a long time ago. It was not just now. It was not just now.
Yep.
It's been a while. We've lost it a long time ago.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds of the Steel Island drum, by the way. We might have to get in touch with you about playing some music at the tailgate that we're now deciding that we're going to do. Details very much to be determined, but we are now 100% committed. We've already started making plans and preparations for the Snow the Goalie tailgate.
I'm telling you, it's going to be epic. And we're going to start working on it. Bear with us, because we want to do this the right way. And we want you guys to come and leave with your bellies full and your hearts full of love.
Full of love.
And you know what, Russ? You know what
What's
you got to bring out to the tailgate.
My mug warmer.
Your mug.
That's right.
Dude, Andrew from Texas came when he first showed up. He's like, I wasn't sure this was the right spot. I didn't see the mug warmer set up on the table, so
Yep.
he wasn't sure that he
Listen.
thought if you traveled with it.
You guys give a hard time about the mug warmer. It is a game changer. It is a fantastic. Anyway, if you don't listen to the regular Snow the Goalie show, the Only Flyers podcast, you're missing out. You're missing out on great things like this. And if you don't watch when we do the morning after recap and we do our little pre-show banter, you miss out on all this fun. All right, let's get back into. Oh, it's Nick Rotundo, but he's on his business account. Nick, welcome. I have to say, it feels like the momentum has shifted, and yet this crowd has not turned on the team. And you know how sometimes crowds fall silent.
Yeah.
Like the momentum goes away and the crowd kind of dies off. I don't know if it's because it's Star Wars night. It's a great crowd. It's an engaged crowd, and it's a large crowd. Do you think the Flyers can overcome, if they were to give up a goal on this power play in the first minute of the game, is there a chance that they lose this crowd, or do you think that the crowd's going to continue to be, they're going to continue to be in it?
Yeah. There have been so many comments that I've seen, whether it's in this chat or in the chat for this show or on Twitter, of people talking about like the environment down here and how much they're enjoying it.
Yeah.
I think you're hanging with the Stanley Cup champ. Even if you lose this game, I don't think the fans turn on them. I think that the fans look at this and say, you know what? Flyers are fun to watch right now.
Yep.
Flyers are giving us something. They're giving us entertainment. The experience down at the arena is cool. Yes, Star Wars night probably, brings a few more people out for the game, right? I like it, Rob. That's good. But no, I don't think that there's any way that the fans turn on the Flyers, even if they have a bad third period. And I'll tell you this: you talk about it being a really good crowd down here. You know where it's a really good crowd? Up here.
Yes.
It is packed.
Yep.
On the upper level, man. There are so many standing room people up here.
There are hundreds of people up here.
It's
and that's not exaggerating.
No,
there are hundreds of people.
It's a packed. Like we've had a few games so far where there's been nobody up here.
Yep.
It's night and day. This is packed house on the top floor.
Yep.
Yeah, it is. It's a zoo up here today, and honestly, God, it's mobbed with people going by, giving us waves. We try to wave at everyone.
Yeah.
But we do love people come and talk to us about hockey, some stuff we see. It's dynamite up here. It really is a really fun experience.
You got unfiltered takes, that's for sure. If you're up here and you come watch part of the game with us, you will get 100% unadulterated.
Yeah, you won't get lied to.
That is true. We do not gaslight.
Yeah.
We tell you as we see it and what we think. That is part of why I think people are so into this. What's this? Wait, what was that?
Rick just said, did Bundy just say pucks to the net and Wookie?
I did. I said pucks to the net and Wookie.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Oh, by the way, Joe Papel checks in.
From 107.
Yep, from section 107, right behind the goal. Snow the Goalie was on the scoreboard, 15:59 left in the second period.
We were.
We were. It's the Only Flyers podcast. Of course they have to promote it. You know, everybody knows this. Now, I put you guys in a really unenviable position at the end of the first, and I asked you for a score prediction.
Well, Bundy and I were right that it would be tied.
Yeah, Bundy said what, 2-2?
I said 1-1. He said 2-2.
I said, I think 4-1.
You said 4-1 Vegas, yes.
I think I had 5-3 as the prediction. Did either of you have Vegas?
No, you had 5-2.
No, I had 5-3.
I had
you did
5-2.
I had 5-3.
He had 5-2, that's right.
Okay.
No, you know who's hanging in there, though, is intern Andrew with his 5-3 Flyers prediction.
Did we actually bring him into this now? Yeah,
I decided he can because he'll probably pass me before, by the new year.
That's what I'm rooting for.
Oh, it's good. He should be in. Yeah.
I'm rooting for intern Andrew to surpass Russ.
Yep.
After giving Russ a 16-game head start.
I think that we should also do this. I'm serious about this. So Andrew from Texas, we took his prediction too and tweeted that. If we continue to have people, which we always do, who come up here and talk to us pregame, we might just have to do a guest picker of the game.
Yeah, I like that.
Like have a fan pick.
I like that. But you know what?
And-
You're going to be
and
in
we'll keep
trouble
the
when you're going to be in trouble when you get home. You know why?
Why?
Because you promised on the podcast that you would put Nancy's pick out.
I did.
And then you didn't include Nancy's pick in.
She put it in the chat.
Yeah, but you didn't include it in the tweet.
I'm not putting it in the tweet.
You said on the pregame show, you said we're going to put. I'm going to
No,
put
I
Nancy's
said
pick in the tweet.
I'll put her score in the graphic, maybe. Okay?
Maybe was not the word.
I love my
that
wife.
was used.
I love my wife. I think she's great. She is the best wife and mother this side of the Mississippi.
What about
But
on
I'm
the
not
other side of
tweeting,
the
but
Mississippi?
Well, I don't know. I've never been to the other side of the Mississippi, so I couldn't tell you. But on this side of the
Really?
Mississippi, I don't think so.
You've never traveled west
What
of
kind
the
of an
Mississippi?
existence have you had, son?
The farthest west I've gone is Indiana. Where's the Mississippi?
You've never been west of Indiana.
No.
We got to get you in the Millennium Falcon and take you for a
I've been
ride
to Europe,
somewhere.
though. I've been to Europe. I've been down to the Caribbean, down to Mexico. I'm afraid to go west. If I go west, I'm going to look for gold or hipsters. I don't want to find either.
Times have changed, Russ.
That's right.
The gold is out of California.
So you want Bundy and I to talk about what we think's going to happen
Yeah,
in the
how do you
third
think?
period?
So your scores obviously aren't going to land here, but
Yeah.
how do you think it'll finish?
I'm a little surprised that it's 3-3 at this point. I
Yeah.
thought this would be a lower scoring game, to be honest with you. But I still think Vegas is going to. They've just been the better team in this game. The Flyers, credit to hang in there with them. I just think Vegas has been the better team, and I think that they still will be. I still think that Vegas wins this one, but I still say a one-goal game. That's what I thought coming in.
Well,
I think
yeah,
that's
it's
what it'll be.
anybody's game. The Flyers are up for grabs. Intern Andrew has a chance to get it, but I will say this. Vegas is more equipped to handle a game like this than the Flyers are. Flyers are still learning to play games like this.
Yeah.
First 5 minutes of this period will be critical, and the Flyers need to make sure that they don't let Vegas run out with 2 goals early in this period.
Listen, Rustradamus is going to make a correct prediction, as I said. Flyers lose 5-3, and I said Carter Hart wouldn't finish the game. He'll be on the bench. They'll have an empty net. 5-3 Vegas. It's going to happen. We'll be back for post-game,
wait a
Bundy and
second.
I.
Folks,
Puck's dropping. Bye, Russ.
this is not the pick you're looking for.
Boo hiss. See you post-game. Yes! Ladies and gentlemen, as we rode it up, your team, your town, your Philadelphia Flyers, not only did they win, they won it in overtime.
Raise the roof.
They win in overtime. They take down the Vegas Golden Knights. Bye-bye. Good night. Au revoir. Go cross country. The Golden Knights have been vanquished here in this, there we go, in the city of brotherly love. Ladies and gentlemen, that is it. It is over. Your Flyers win in overtime.
Just watched 100 fans walk through here. Just jacked
did.
up. We jacked them up even more. I got to get the old raise the roof a little bit.
The hype is real.
That's
the hype
about
is real
as
tonight.
bad a goal as you're ever going to see in an overtime.
Yep.
But they don't ask how or us. They ask how many. And I'll tell you what, the Flyers, to their credit, really stuck with it.
They did.
And did a great job on a couple power. They had their own power play, which let them down late, but they did a super job against Vegas's power plays, at least keeping it together. And trust me, Vegas getting that third goal at the end of the second period, I thought they had a lot of the momentum.
They had all the momentum.
The Flyers were going to be on their heels. That really wasn't the case. And credit Vegas, they played very well. Carter Hart made some great stops when he needed to.
Yep.
A couple of them were softies that I think he'd like back. But, all in all, I mean, is Vegas a better team than the Flyers?
Sure.
Yeah, they are.
Or are they?
They
Bundy,
are. Yeah,
are the Flyers better than everyone thought?
Well, they played like their backup goalie today.
Yeah.
We didn't see Aiden Hill, the Stanley Cup winning goalie, but Flyers are going to get a lot of backups. They've seen a lot of backups, but let's not diminish the loss or this win here because it's a great win. I mean, they just beat the Stanley Cup champion, and I don't care if when they won it. They're the last champion in the league. And the Flyers are able to pull it off in overtime. A great afternoon here, a great crowd, good group of people, and a real happy group of Flyers fans leaving the building today.
I want to bring this guy. Come over here real quick.
Get on in.
So we have.
Coming in. Let's go. Get in here. Coming in.
All right, introduce yourself.
How you doing? Joe Tully, Stratford, New Jersey.
So Joe, it's his 50th birthday.
50th, dude. I go way back, man. I was hanging out the car.
He's young. He's younger than I am.
Yeah, thanks, Bundy. I was hanging out the car of my parents when the last time the Flyers won the Stanley Cup. I was an infant. They brought me out of the car, and it was like in the parade, and I was like, we haven't won a Stanley Cup since. I love Torts. I love what he's doing right now. I love Danny Briere. I guarantee.
And you love Snow the goalie too, right?
Oh yeah.
It's the only Flyers podcast. Everybody, give it up for Joe. A very happy birthday. This is a heck of a present.
Oh my God, it was amazing. To beat the best NHL team out there right now, we took 2 points. 2 points is what we took tonight.
That's awesome.
Amazing.
Joe, keep celebrating, buddy. Happy 50th.
Oh, Bundy, thank you guys so much. Russ, thank you guys so much.
Absolutely.
I love what you guys do. Keep it up. Keep promoting hockey. I love it.
We will
There
do
we go.
so. Thanks,
Ladies
Joe.
and gentlemen,
Happy
give it up for
50th,
Joe.
buddy.
Thanks.
Give it up for him on
Thanks,
his
guys.
birthday. There we go.
You know what else, dude? If you come down, everybody, let's hear it for Joe, everybody. Happy birthday,
yeah.
Joe. All right. That's what we love
A lot of
here.
people
I
out
love
here.
Flyers.
A lot of
hockey.
people.
I love you guys. Keep it
Thanks,
up.
guys.
Thank
Thanks
you.
to all you fans.
See,
Let's go Flyers.
This is why we do what we do. We're up here in the top level in the unnamed sportsbook. They don't sponsor us, so we don't name them. But we're up here in the sportsbook every home game, the Press Row Show, the #1 rated pregame, intermission, and postgame show this side of the Mississippi. Hundreds of people up here today.
I mean,
Like,
honestly,
literally
that's
hundreds.
packed. Yeah, and you know what I always say? Like, I love having someone come on. It's his 50th birthday.
Yep.
But we have people up here all the time coming to
Yep.
talk to us, and they sit next to us in the periods. We love it. That's what we're here for.
Yep.
Not only do we put this show on at the intermissions, but pregame with you guys. I'm doing the Flyers radio broadcast before this. But we come up here, we get some awesome fans. People always come and say hello. They talk hockey with us, share their sentiment of the team, their hopes, their visions for the team, and we love every second of it.
Here we go. So Dr. Panglass checks in. Dr. Panglass lives out in California because we have people all over. We had the fine folks checking in from Finland before the game, as per usual. Our listener Andrew from Texas was up here on the pregame show. We just had Joe on, 50th birthday. Dr. Panglass out there in California says many of you were wrong. This is a blue-collar, hard-working win. And I'll tell you what, let's be honest, none of us picked the Flyers to win except for intern Andrew. Now, he is that much closer to catching me in the standings, which honestly is tremendously upsetting. Tremendously upsetting. Like, it's not going to take long. I have a bad feeling.
You think he's going to get you?
Intern Andrew is absolutely going to catch me by the new year, without a doubt.
Doc Pangloss, that was a blue-collar win today.
It sure
and you know
was.
what else? You got to have some good stops. and you got to be able to. A lot goes into beating a team like that.
Yep.
And the Flyers did it. Like, and you know what? If it's feeling good, like now, would I say would I want this team to line up against them in a 7-game series in April? No, because there's a different gear that goes on. They're on a middle of a road trip right now.
Yep.
But still, for the Flyers to come home, I thought they looked exactly how a team was supposed to look coming off a long road trip.
Yep.
The Flyers were awful the first 10 minutes of the first.
Yep.
They got their feet under them. They looked a little bit better at the end of the first, and the second period played itself out. I don't like to see them surrendering a 2-goal lead when they had it. But,
Sure.
you know, I mean, Vegas is a team that can come back. They have a lot of weapons. As much as skill as they showed in this game tonight, it was ultimately some turnovers late with those guys that cost Vegas, you know, with Eichel and Marchessault. But give the Flyers all the credit. They deserved this win today. They stuck with it, and it took everybody on the ice to do it. Some mystery goals, Russ, as we said, the seeing eye goal. Tyson Forster, we haven't seen score yet. He gets one. Power play worked. So there's a lot of weird things that have gone on in this game.
This was a strange game. It was Star Wars night, and sometimes I wondered if we were living in a galaxy far, far away, if we were somewhere in the multiverse where the power play clicked. You get a guy like Forster off the schneid. Carter Hart played very well, minus, as you mentioned, soft goal. But for the most part, played very well against an absolutely stacked Vegas Golden Knights lineup. A lot of positives. By the way, we're going to let people know, Anthony and intern Andrew have now run down to the bowels of the Wells Fargo Center, where they're going to be getting a player, is what we've been told, for a post-game interview. And when they have that set up, we'll throw it down to them.
I will say a couple plays that I took notice of in the third period. Cam York on a 2-on-1 made a great play late. It was about 5, maybe 6 minutes. I might be wrong on the time.
Yep.
Got his stick down and broke up a 2-on-1. That was a critical play in this hockey game.
Yeah.
It was still 3-3 then. So he picked it up. I thought he had a little bit better game. I want to see more of him offensively, like really taking the puck and trying to move with it.
Yep.
But defensively, I thought he was a bit better tonight. There's guys that are taking pretty clear what's the word I'm looking for here? Clear chances. They've been directed by the coach to basically, you go play how we need you, like we think that you can play, and don't worry too much about it. Sanheim's one of those guys. Like, he's basically like, we don't have another option, so you're our best skating guy. Get up the ice whenever you can, and don't worry about what I don't want to say Tort says it like that, but he's like, you have more free reign to go take a shot up the ice because we just don't have that kind of guy to do it. So someone's got to try to do it, and that's you.
So Mr. Twister checks in. Team is fun, hardworking, likable group, having much more fun watching than I have in years. It is amazing the difference that it makes. And you know, we've said it a million times. I get that it might be annoying to hear. It might seem cliche. This organization set an expectation that this team was in a rebuild, pretty much telling you, without telling you, set the expectations low, right? Don't come in thinking that we're a cup contender. And when you set the expectation low and then you overperform, it makes it feel that much better when you see the team go out and get wins, especially, and I said this the other day, and I'll continue to say it, I don't care how they play against bad teams. If you go out and you match the effort level and you try to match as best you can these better teams, and these are the games that you pick up the points in, I'm happy. Because not only is that teaching you how to win, it's teaching you how to rise to the occasion and play against a team that, from top to bottom, you'd say is a more skilled lineup.
Yeah, and again, you know, like Briere had said before the year, you know, the players will be left to determine what kind of a season it looks like. You know, you can always put effort on the ice. You know, even though if we maybe were lacking skill or lacking the kind of personnel that has other teams have lined up appropriately slotted. Maybe the Flyers don't have it, but you can work through anything in the sport of hockey. You can give it 100%, make the game look a lot closer, make it a lot more interesting. That's why the sport is a great sport.
Yeah.
Because your work ethic can take over the game. And in fairness to the Flyers, how difficult it has been for this team to win games. They have to put a lot into winning games.
Yep.
And that's a very difficult thing to sustain over a long period of time. It's almost impossible, but you have to savor the victories. You know, we're coming off a guy that was a GM here before last year that lied to the fans, gaslit every night. Everything was BS. We have a good team. No, you didn't.
Yeah.
You were not a good team, and more importantly, you didn't have the personnel that put in the effort that you needed to sustain on a nightly basis. Now, Tort started to change that a little bit last year as he came in and tried to work through the lineup, and now he seems to have a better groove of it. But no, there's not. That's not the way it's going to work here. You have to be completely honest. And like they said, yeah, we are rebuilding. So I don't want anybody to jump, off the horse and say, oh, we're better than we are. Just enjoy what's going on right now. Keep playing it the way it is. They're in a playoff spot, I believe. And you know what? What else do you want? Last year they were buried. They're coming off a 10-game losing streak around this time. So this is a bit of joy.
Let's talk about what the difference a year makes, okay?
Yeah.
Fletcher Mort goes into last year saying it's a retool, not a rebuild.
Yeah.
Tells people go out, they buy season tickets, being told that, like, going into the offseason last year that they were going to retool this thing. Very much gave the wink and nod that they were going to be players in free agency. There was a Johnny Gaudreau out there. There was an Alex DeBrincat available in the trade market. They don't do anything. They go into the season, they lose a couple of guys. They lose an Atkinson, they lose a Couturier. And then in December, he doubled down and said, well, we think that we're going to get Coots back. We think we're going to get Cam back. And when we do, we think that that's going to give us the lift that we need to potentially become a contender for a playoff spot. And that was never, we have to be real here, that was never going to happen. Ever.
Chuck lied to everybody in this town, either for his own good or for what, I don't know why.
Yeah.
But that team, I'm telling you, was never going to win a playoff round, let alone even make the playoffs with the amount of competitive juices that their higher-end type of players had. And again, that's, I think, what the one thing that I think a lot of outside sources that weren't legacy media said, don't lie.
Yeah.
Like,
Just
start telling the truth.
Yep.
Tell people the truth of what it is, and then live in that.
Yep.
But to do anything else any other way is unjust. And I think the thing is, we're willing to say what this is. This is a good, hard-working hockey team.
Yep.
It's missing pure snipers.
Mm-hmm.
It needs a lot of things to go well every night for it to win.
It could use some blue line help.
No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. But
they played.
as I said before, Russ, I've said it before, like, this league is not so amazing that there's 12 teams that are just unbeatable.
Yep.
It doesn't exist in this league. There's too much parity. There's too many players. There's been too much expansion for anybody to just completely worry about not climbing the standings if you don't have a hard work ethic. Now, the other pieces will come. You do need high-end skill to carry you through playoff rounds and get you deep in the season. They're not there right now.
Yeah.
This playing regular season games is a lot different than playing a really good juggernaut in the playoffs. That's in a groove, has been playing playoff hockey for 2 months. But trust me when I say these wins collectively are important, and they're important for the psyche and for the future of this team.
Yep. Hold on. We just got a message in here. I just want to double. Oh, look who we're getting for postgame.
Oh, good. Very, very nice.
We're going to be getting somebody that has outperformed expectations, probably 10x what people expected of him. We're going to be getting Sean Walker.
Yeah, that's great.
For postgame with Anthony. So as soon as that's ready, we'll throw down to them. There was a question here that I think is an interesting one to ask, and it's a tricky one. And it's been something that I think we've talked about a few times, especially in the offseason, about, like, could the moment happen? And I lost the question here, but I'll still reiterate it. Oh, here it is. Matt Beagle checks in. If Hart keeps playing the way that he does he become untradeable?
No, I don't. I mean, if he plays, like, ridiculous every night, but, he let up two goals tonight that weren't great.
Yeah.
Has he been terrific? Yeah, he has. You can live with that when you let up a couple bad goals and your team finds a way to score more. But, I still don't think there's any untouchable.
I agree.
But, you can get stuck on that in the moment. Like, you're like, oh, my God, we can't trade him anymore, or he's just so – look at things over a collective body of work and see how things go from there. But by no means am I looking at this team saying, oh, he's completely untouchable, because I just don't believe in that in anything, because you're always looking for ways to better your team. Yep. And when I say that, who knows if someone comes and offers 3 players for 1 or something crazy where you got, so I can't be the judge of that, because I'm not, first of all, not GM, and I'm not in that spot, but sometimes people get stupid, and they get crazy ideas, and they offer way more than somebody's worth, and then that's when you have to step back and say, yeah, I got to do that deal.
100%. Let's see, because there's a lot here. This thing came up about Sealer. Like, Sealer is the ultimate body on the line guy. He took a puck to the back, and we heard it all the way up here. He had a hard time getting back to the bench. What does that do for a team when you see your teammate willing to put the body on the line like that, fight his way off the ice, no stoppage? Like, what does that do?
Well, he's the kind of guy in that role, he has to play like that. He has to put his body on the line. Anything short of that, he becomes a replaceable part. So there's something to Nick Sealer's game that's made him and has intangible stuff for this team. He's tough. He plays hard. He blocks shots. He makes fairly simple defensive plays, and that's why he's in the NHL.
Yep. Here we go. 4-game winning streak in November. Who would have thought? Flyers second in the Metro. Thanksgiving right around the corner. Are they going to be buyers at the trade deadline, Bundy?
Well, you know what? I mean, because, I mean, listen, if they get to that point and they're playing like this still, okay?
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, I don't know if they're going to be playing like this by the time the deadline comes around. I hope they are, because it's a good thing for all of us when a team is winning. I don't know if that's the case, but if that is, you go out and buy. Try to get one piece in here to try to change maybe the look of your team going to the playoffs. Why not? Yeah. If a team has done that much for you, then you certainly want to try to give them a chance going in the spring, even knowing that it'll be a real tough climb for you.
Someone Forrest checks in. Sanheim 3 times most improved player award. He looks better.
He does.
He's
certainly taking a lot more liberties with the puck and getting up the ice.
There are some still boneheaded plays that he makes, but for the most part,
but he plays a lot, you know. So so you're going to make a lot of mistakes in that scenario sometimes, and I'm fine with it. I mean, listen, at least he's trying to do something out there, you know. I mean, and I give him credit for that. This is a kid they tried to get rid of all summer.
Yeah.
For a guy that really is almost not playing, injuries one after another.
Krug.
For Torrey Krug. So you know, when you look at a guy coming back with having the kind of response that he's had, you can't say anything about good things about him.
Yep. People checking in about York.
He was solid defensively. He had that good 2-on-1 play at the end. I mean, it requires a lot more than that for me at the end of the night. You have to do a group of things. But when you're 3-3 and you make a nice play like that, that's certainly something that I always look for, something a young player can go back and kind of hitch their wagons to. And those are the kind of plays you look for that are positive and that make you feel more comfortable about your game.
Yep. We've got Eric Wisniewski checking in, saying Torts is a better coach than the last 2 for sure. Bob Wright, need to get down to watch a game from the Snow the Goalie Sportsbook. Miss being down there, and this team has made me excited for the future.
They should call it the Snow the Goalie Sportsbook.
They should.
We'll talk to people about that.
We'll just do that on our own.
Maybe we'll.
Will we get in trouble? Maybe. Entirely possible. By the way, we're still waiting. We're waiting on Sean Walker, Anthony down in the locker room with intern Andrew. As soon as Sean Walker's available, we'll throw it down to them. Here you go. Rob Greeley, Johnny Hockey, who glad that Columbus paid the price, not us. I mean, we did talk about this. I mean, in fairness, when he was a free agent, the argument on our show was that if you're really going to try to retool, he was the best player available on the on the free agent market. But we said there's almost no chance he was going to replicate his final season with Calgary. Like, there's just no way. And he just has not looked. He's just not been a great player since he's gone to Columbus.
I think, he's a guy that's had a guy like Matthew Tkachuk open a lot of doors for him in Calgary with his physicality.
Yep.
Elias Lindholm covered up for his awful defensive prowess in his own zone.
Yep.
Remember last year, Tort said, this team's a long way off from, having a guy with that kind of high talent level coming here. I wonder what he'd think of that comment a year later. Like, the Flyers are not yet ready to sign a free agent like that. Yeah. Thank God they didn't.
Yeah.
Like, seriously.
Yep.
That's just because that's a guy that's not going to probably play the kind of game Torts wants.
Yeah.
And, who knows? Yeah, world of skill, sure. But, one goal, it's an empty net goal.
I like this by Vinay Singh. Really torn on Sean Walker. Started the season as hopefully we can get a pick at the trade deadline for him. Then saying we should be able to get a first-round pick. And now, what'll it take to sign him? Like, I joked on the first intermission show, like, little did they know that they would go out and acquire their number 1 defenseman, Sean Walker. He's had a great, I don't think it's being hyperbolic to say he's had a great season relative to what the expectation was when they acquired him.
He's played great. What more? He's gone above and beyond the expectations every night pretty much.
Absolutely. Which is why he's going to be on the Press Row Show postgame. As soon as I love watching this. I don't want to do this and embarrass Ant, but I don't know if you saw it a little bit ago. Ant's down there waiting in the locker room, and he does this thing where he puts the hand up on the cubby, so he's just kind of hanging out there hey, what's up? How you doing? How you doing? But we won't embarrass him by putting him on here before he expects to be. Here you go. Bob says Fletcher Mort tried to feed the fan base BS, while this new regime actually knows how to treat a fan base that knows hockey. We come back to it again. If you come up to the Snow the Goalie Sportsbook, and we're going to get in trouble for saying that, but to the Snow the Goalie Sportsbook. You come up here, and Dan Hilferty, multiple times in this game, going back and forth, shaking hands with people, taking pictures, the works. You get Jonesy and Briere going back and forth up here at this level. They're making an active effort, I think, to try to connect with the fan base, and it certainly doesn't hurt that as they're trying to do that on their end, away from the ice, the team on the ice is kind of going out and embodying what you want a Philadelphia Flyers team to look like. They're playing the right way. They're fun to watch. They're entertaining. They're playing for one another. Whether they get the result or not, you don't feel like the thousands and thousands of people who came today, this great crowd, they can't leave here, even if they had lost, they can't leave here feeling like they didn't get their money's worth because this team gives every bit of effort they have.
Yeah, they do. They pour it all in. They and that's all you want. That's what we complained about. Was the effort and the way that this team had gone backwards. They weren't competitive, and that's a while ago now. So there's been a complete shift, and they're a team now that makes you proud to watch them. We can't expect the results, but we expect work, and we expect high compete level from teams in Philly, and this team has provided that for a couple of years now, to be honest.
Yep.
Where's Anthony getting Walker? Has he gone back to LA to interview him?
I don't know. What is it? You see him? Look at him over here. I wish I almost want to pop him on the screen. I won't. Now he's got the 1 foot up on the bench. Do we bring him on first? No, we're not going to do that. We're not going to embarrass him. I'm still waiting for intern Andrew to let us know what's going on down there. Maybe they're all maybe they're having a moment in the locker room. All those guys. Maybe they're. Hey, here's a question for you, Bundy.
Yeah.
When you go into a game as an underdog, and the Flyers were a significant underdog going into today's game, when you're celebrating that in the locker room, when you're kind of taking it in with the team that you got to win, does a game like this mean more? Like, do you actually take a time as a team? It's not like you feel bad, like, moral victory and everything, but like, do you celebrate this kind of win as a player more so when you were the underdog going into it, or is it just another win?
That's a good question. I would say probably you celebrate a little bit more for just a couple minutes because you beat a really qualified team. But at the same time, I think you realize, like, you got another game tomorrow night. We got to get ready for that. And this was a great win, great way to start the weekend off. But you got to move on pretty quick. You can't relish in a victory like this for too long.
Yeah. Let's see. Battleship says, I think the success now sets up future trade capital at the deadline, but boy, are we building up trade value on our players. So, but getting them to play like this in March is another part of it. Right? Yeah, for sure.
Like, if you're going to want to trade them all right now, then, you might get value, but also teams are going to dig into that, right?
Yeah.
Like, they want to see a body of work. So if you can get guys that are still continually playing well, who knows what'll shift? Again, there's the fact of the matter is they do need more high-end skill up front. They have some in the system, as we've seen, and they definitely need to improve their defense over time. How do they do that? Probably with finding assets or through the draft. But the better the free agents, the better the team is, the more likely they're going to have an opportunity to get better free agents come here.
Yeah, and you think about how does a player look at coming to play for John Tortorella, right? Like, you have to have a certain mental makeup, I think. You have to be mentally strong. Like, you're not, as a free agent, are you going to go out of your way to go play for a guy like Torts? Maybe. If the team is winning and if the team looks like it's on the precipice of actually making a run, then I would think yes. If not, there is something to be said for, like, this group of guys. If you consistently show that you're hard to play against, you're playing for one another, and it also just so happens that you have this guy who typically pushes the right buttons in a playoff stretch, like, I don't know, maybe that does become appealing. It's just crazy to think that we're having the kind of conversation that we're having. We're not, by the way, we're not saying they're going to be a playoff team. We're not saying they're a cup contender. Like, let's not get that twisted. But it is interesting here that we're more than halfway through the month of November, and we're talking about, wow, they've now gone out, and they've picked up significant wins on the West Coast, significant win on the road against Carolina, significant win.
Well, they just beat 3 straight play. Did LA? LA might have been out of the playoffs, but no, they beat Carolina, playoff team, obviously Vegas.
Yep.
But LA is an up-and-coming team, and Anaheim certainly was 500 when they played them.
Yep.
They've done a lot of good things. We're still waiting for Anthony here to get us Sean Walker.
He's apparently looking for Sean Walker.
Okay.
So somehow
we don't want to go an hour post game.
We don't. So Ant better figure it out. He has a limited amount of time here before we throw him to the wolves, as it were. Here you go. Cliff the Flyers optimist, and this is certainly an optimistic take. Carter Hart is playing like an elite goalkeeper. Why would we ever want to trade him? I don't get the narrative. We have a great goalie now. Why trade him? He can still be part of the future.
it's trying to collectively put the pieces together all at the same time. So, again, there's a lot of goalies that play better in situations like this.
Where there's no pressure to win.
Correct.
Yeah.
And, that may be part of it. I don't want to say it. No, I'm not suggesting or that's exactly what it is, but there's a lot of reasons. If the team comes up together, it can be younger. You may have a goalie where they're still learning.
Yeah.
So it could be 3-4 years maybe before you see the return on the investments, and that's why you're saying, well, are we better off to move him? Because you might be able to get a real whale of a package.
You can get a lot. You can get a lot for him.
Sure.
I don't think his timeline matches. If this team ends up being a bubble playoff team, then I think that calculus changes a little bit. Because then you say, all right, well, maybe this rebuild is farther along than we thought, or you have enough of these guys performing well that you go, all right, maybe you change what you perceive to be your timeline. Like maybe that happens. If you're looking at this and you're saying it's going to be 3 years, we're doing a 3-year rebuild, that's the point where you go, all right, it's more worth it to have the assets. I go back to the interview that we did with Jonesy when we made the announcement about working on a partnership with the team. Jonesy was very clear. The idea of having to pay a goalie, you have to be sure that goalie is going to be an elite goalie for a long time. We compared it to like the NFL running back or comparing it to a quarterback on his rookie scale deal in the NFL. If you're able to take a cheap goalie and build the rest of the team, get your big money guys to fortify the blue line, to be your sniper up front, and you can play with a goalie who's on a pretty cheap deal, that's your better scenario. Otherwise, you run the risk of being like a Florida who, had some good seasons, but like Bobrovsky makes a ton of money.
Yeah.
And it hasn't been justified,
Well, he got to the finals last year, so, if some people may say that, Russ, but, yeah, I know. He's been inconsistent a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way it goes sometimes. It is just unfortunately how it goes. But I think it's always about building a team is trying to get everybody the right pieces on the at the same time, where they're kind of in the same age frame.
Yep.
Where you're trying to get everybody kind of going in, and so that's I think what they're dealing with in terms of with Carter Hart. But again, is there an urgency right now? Danny Briere said 2 months ago we're open for business.
Yeah.
He hasn't said recently that we've closed for business.
Yep.
So I would assume it's just as per usual. Moving forward.
This is either fishy or fisky or I don't know. Says, I feel that building coming back. The ref you suck chant maybe indicates that miss this type of hockey. Again, the crowd today was on fire. The crowd today absolutely gave the energy to the team, gave additional energy. That was a great crowd in the building. It was as engaged as you can imagine. So Matthew Bennick over here, if I ever get down 1,000% rubbing elbows with the Snow the Goalie crew. We had a lot of people up here today. We actually still have some of our listeners up here hanging out with us post-game. Security was like given the eye. I think that we had people up here, but it's okay. Because if you're here and you're in the Snow the Goalie Sportsbook, you're like family. You're part of the show.
You are?
Yeah.
Speaking of family, where's our other brother?
Anthony SanFilippo. Guy told us he's going to go down and get somebody. Oh, I see him on camera. Oh, intern Andrew is like teasing. Here, I'm gonna pop him. Do I pop him on screen? No, I'm not gonna pop him on screen. This is driving me nuts.
This is what we like about this. So it just takes us. It's not all this sophisticated stuff.
It's not. It's just
It's grassroots.
We would have loved to have had him right as soon as the game ended. We'll wait. There are a lot of comments here though, Bundy. We could probably do 40 more minutes. I don't want to, but we have more than enough here. Dee Skinner. I have goalie PTSD, so probably can't be neutral. I never want Hart to go away. I guess that is the risk that you run, right? Like we look at it and we can say, hey, you could get a boatload of assets, which you certainly could. If Hart's playing like this, you could absolutely get a ton to help your rebuild. If you move on from him, though, and he does turn out to be like a top 7 goalie, and an Urson doesn't develop, or a Kozlov doesn't develop, or one of the other guys they brought into the organization doesn't develop into that guy, then it ends up being like one of those things where you kick yourself. Maybe, potentially, who knows? Which one? You should be able to. You can click on
here
it.
we go. This is what did they hear us and try to steal our guy?
Walker going on Comcast? Oh no, that's a violation. That's a violation. I know who works over at Comcast, not Jordan Hall. There's somebody at Comcast who I'm sure checks in on our show. Doesn't like us very much.
Joe Fordyce, who's the absolute best over there.
Not Joe.
No,
There's
he's
somebody
the
else.
best.
There's somebody else who listens to us over
No.
at
I don't really care.
NBC Sports
Good.
Philadelphia. Again, not Jordan Hall, great guy. Not
Jordan's good guy, yeah. Good person.
Not Joe Fordyce, not them.
Yeah.
There's somebody else though. Hate listens. Probably did hear who we were going to have and decided to play a game. Two can play that game. Let's go back to Bud Stewart, who obviously listened to the Jonesy interview. Jones would rather have a number 1 D. Is Carter worth a number 1 D man?
No, that's the thing. That's the one thing that probably trumps a number 1 D would be a number 1 goalie. That's really good.
Yeah.
And if he stays like this, you can't get the number 1 defenseman. I really believe is going to have to come through the draft.
Really?
I do. I really do. I mean, you have a Petrangelo. There's other guys out there. Like he moved teams. I'm trying to think of guys that were number 1. But go ask Craig Berube what he thinks about Petrangelo leaving St. Louis.
Yeah.
I mean, it's changed their team.
I view the pipeline as being free agency. Like that's where you would make your splash.
Well,
I almost feel like you have to develop your forwards now. And like if you're going to go out and get a mercenary, if somehow a number 1 D man ends up on the open market, you keep the space clear and you just make a can't refuse offer.
Yeah, and they'll have money to spend, but it's it's a matter of that guy wanting to come here. I always like it, trying to get the guy that is more of a sure thing, and that would be through the draft. Like most teams, when you look at their number 1 guys, they've had those top defensemen. They were picked in the draft.
Yeah,
for the most part.
I like this. Security probably kicked Ant out. Cryptic Cowboy says,
I don't know. All right, Anthony, is he done? Looking at
getting
Anthony.
him a hot dog. Look at Anthony. Oh my gosh. Here's the problem: the second that we go off air, he's gonna get him. And then Ant doesn't have the technological wherewithal to know how to record the interview. And it's going to be a problem. But it might be about time to bail on Ant.
I mean, we're 40 minutes.
Is it 40 minutes?
Yeah.
Has it been that long?
Yeah, it has.
Got a lot of people here live on YouTube and on Facebook and on Twitter. I guess you guys can let us know. Do we hang out here until Ant gets the guy? Do we answer questions? We are the most interactive postgame show. It's why we're the number 1 postgame show this side of the Mississippi. Everyone knows that. Let's see. Hold on. We got an update. All right. Intern Andrew's offering to film the interview, and then we can put it on the YouTube channel. We might go that way. Let's see.
All right.
Let's get a couple more questions, comments, and concerns in here before we go. Scott Taylor notes that allegedly this year's draft is loaded with defensemen. There is someone who would be pretty well in the know who recently passed along a little bit of info about this draft, at least how it's being perceived from a, let's say, like a scouting perspective. Said that this draft, while there might be good defensemen, doesn't have elite caliber. Like the top 7 picks in this draft aren't going to be elite.
Yeah.
That the disparity between, say, the first overall pick or the top 2 and, like, say, 3 through 18 isn't going to be that big. Like there's a bunch of guys. There's a bunch of guys who could, like, be solid players. But right now there aren't a ton of guys being viewed as potentially elite or cornerstone players, which is interesting. And wouldn't that be a shame if your wheels do fall off this season and you end up getting a top pick and it's in a draft where there isn't that stud. There's not a Connor Bedard or a number 1 defenseman on the board. You don't have like a McCarr available.
No.
So Rob South says that we should not leave Ant behind.
He says don't leave a brother. Yeah, but I mean, this is way past. Like if you need to get a player after a game, it's usually within 15 minutes.
I don't know what's going on here.
I mean,
I'm disappointed. Do I say I'm disappointed?
Is Gretzky down there? We don't know.
You know what? Maybe Gretzky's down there. If so, Ant should go grab him. Here we go. Rory is 100% right. Ant will cry about it on the next episode tomorrow on the Press Row Show. Ant will complain the whole time if we bail on him. I'm going to give him 90 seconds. If he's not up here or live with a player.
Like it's Saturday.
It's Saturday. We got a lot going on. All right, here we go.
Anthony looking for Nolan Patrick to interview.
What's that?
Look at.
Looking for Nolan Patrick. Oh, that poor guy.
I don't want to laugh at people today.
I do feel bad for that guy. I hope that he's well. I hope that on a human level, obviously, that the concussion thing and all of those issues, I do hope that he's at least living a high-quality life, even if that means he never plays hockey again. I do hope that, on a personal note, that he is doing well. We haven't heard anything. I mean, I haven't seen a single update about it for a long time. We've been told should be over momentarily. Bundy, if you want to go, you can.
No,
I guess
just
I
hang
can
out
just We'll see. Intern Andrew's listening. Oh, he's here. Let's go. That's what they say. All right, let's see if we can throw it. Intern Andrew's getting the camera set up. Ant is down there with Sean Walker. Let's throw it to them.
All right, guys. I'm here in the locker room with Flyers defenseman Sean Walker. Sean, heck of a game against a really tough team in Vegas. You guys seem to really be in this mode where you're doing all the little things right in this win streak. Blocked 30 shots the last game, 26 more in this game. Can you just talk about the mindset this team has from one game to the next?
Yeah, I think everybody's got the same mindset right now, and it is those little things, blocking shots, getting pucks out, situational play. I think we just have buying in right now. So you see it night in, night out. Things are going our way, and people are working really hard to get the job done.
Start of the game, maybe started a little bit slower than you wanted. Carter makes some big saves for you right off the bat, and kind of gets you guys going in the right direction, and then you're able to get the lead soon thereafter.
Yeah, he's been unbelievable when he's been in net, and I can't say enough about the other goalies too. Cal, when he was up here, he played great in LA, and then Russ as well in Anaheim. So we've been really fortunate that when we do have those breakdowns or a little slow start, that they've been able to back us up there. But Carter's been unbelievable, and again, a really solid game from him.
Nice to see the power play finally get a couple tallies on the board.
Yeah, obviously that's been a point of emphasis. So that was huge for us, and it's kind of a big turning point of the game.
Big for Tyson too, right? I mean, to finally get that one, kind of get the monkey off his back a little bit.
Absolutely. For a guy like that, he's been doing so many things right. Tons of scoring chances, just couldn't really find the back of the net there. But he stuck with it, worked really hard, and I think everybody loves the way he's playing, and it's nice to see him get rewarded.
As for your goal, I mean, maybe we should call you Sean Skywalker today on Star Wars night.
Yeah.
You might kind of use the Force to kind of get that one through, eh?
Yeah. I obviously from that spot, you're not really thinking about scoring, so you just kind of get the puck to the net as fast as you can, and luckily there was a couple flash screens, and it was a good shot, I guess, and it went in.
When you have goals like that, and then you see Coots' goal in overtime is meant to be a pass, and the two power play goals weren't exactly pretty goals. They were like grinding out goals. Is that the result of what happens when you're playing hard and grinding it for 60 minutes and trying to play this way?
Yeah, I'd say so. I think that's, those bounces you earn over a course of the season. And, I think from the start of the season, we've been playing really hard. And maybe at the beginning of the season, we were losing some games where we weren't getting those bounces, and we're starting to find some of them. So I think it's going well our way.
Sean Walker, thank you for your time. Back to you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yep. Take care.
Thanks, Megan.
And we're back, and I'm going to be honest with you. We love you all so much for checking in on YouTube and on Facebook and on Twitter. I think that was worth the wait.
Yeah.
I will say that the next time Ant goes down and grabs a player, we're not going to wait until he's in a suit.
Yeah, like he already showered and everything.
Sean Walker.
Nobody waits for the guy to come out in his suit. Get him in the underwear, that's it.
Looked dapper.
He did. He looked good.
Looked great.
Like he was heading out in the night in the town.
You know what? And good on him. And if he does, good on him. And if you find him out there, by all means, get that man a glass of water or a soda or whatever he's having tonight. So
Russ, we'll see you tomorrow.
Tomorrow, Press Row Show, the #1 pregame, intermission, and postgame show. We'll be back here live. Do us a favor. Head over to YouTube, youtube.com/@snowthegoalie. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that like. If you're watching now and you haven't hit the like button yet, I don't know what you're doing, okay? Make sure you tell other people about the Press Row Show, about Snow the Goalie, the Only Flyers podcast. We will be back tomorrow.
5 o'clock start?
5:30.
5:30?
So 5 o'clock for a pregame. We took 2 weeks between home games, and now we're back-to-back days. What better way to spend your weekend than with the Press Row Show, the #1 rated pregame, intermission, and postgame show for Ant, for Bundy, for intern Andrew, for all the fans who have been up here with us today. Have a fantastic rest of your night. We'll see you tomorrow evening here on the Press Row Show.